Hi everyone, welcome back to Ryan's Workbench. Today we're going to be working on part 2 of the Oliva 19-inch scale guitar, and let's get started. Moving forward with this project, the next step is going to be cut out this channel right here for the neck. So what I did is I closed the lid and I traced a line here and here, and that will give us the width of the lid. And then we want to cut down about 1/4 inch, which is, this is 3/8. The lid is 3/8, so we want to cut down about 1/4 inch to give us plenty of room, and we'll end up cutting out this section right here. And then what we'll do once we're done cutting it is we'll clean it up with a file, and then it should be pretty good. So that's one done. Now on to the next one. Here's number 2 done. Now we're gonna cut this big long line, and it'll probably take the longest. Alright, so we cut out this little tiny piece here, so that way hopefully we can fit in our large saw and then cut the rest. Alright, so we got our channel cut out, and so basically what that will allow us to do is we can take our box, we can set it in, and if we did it right, in theory the lid should be able to close. Looks like it's close, but we'll need to do a little bit more trimming on this side. So I'll make a mark there, and then I'll get a file, and I'll just use the file to trim it up. Alright, so I have the neck slot pretty much cut out all the way. I sanded it down with a orbital sander in here to make it nice and smooth, and also to bring down the height a little bit so the lid would close. And it fits. I'm happy with it. There's a tiny bit of gap right there. This side's flush, but that's fine. Next step is to cut out the spot for the headstock. Alright, so I have our fretboard cut out, and as you can see, if we line it up with our line, it hangs over on this side quite a bit. Now, there's reason for that, because what we're going to do is we're just going to line up this side. This end will extend over the line, but what we're going to do is we're going to transfer that line onto the fretboard, and then we're going to cut through the fretboard at a 45-degree angle, and then we'll cut 1/8 down on the headstock because we have to lower this by 1/8 of an inch to allow the tuners to fit. So the next step is really just going to be to glue this on, and then once we do that we can start cutting it. Oh, before we glue on the headstock we need to add the 0 fret for the strings, because this is going to be a fretless guitar. We only need one. Okay, so we have our fret slot cut out, so now we get a jumbo fret that I currently have are at a radius, so I gotta flatten that out, and then we can put it on the neck. Now we have our 0 fret, so this is basically the nut, but it's a fret instead of like bone, and I like doing the 0 frets just because they're a little bit easier. Normally frets are like, I don't know, probably 25% of the work when you're making a cigar box guitar, because you have to use the template and write them all down, and you have to cut all the fret slots, and then you have to file all the edges down, like you can see on this one how the edge is sharp. Well, you got to do that with all up to 24 frets, so takes a while. And if you have to level them, that probably takes another 2 hours. So it's about 25% of the work of making a cigar box guitar. And when you're doing this, just make sure the sides are even. That's why it's taken me a little bit. Well, this is drying now, so that'll take probably about 24 hours, and then we'll come back when it's done. Alright, so it's been 24 hours, so the glue has had plenty of time to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and take off these clamps, and then we will get started on cutting the angle in the fretboard and then the headstock. Alright, so we have this little bit right here cut out, and now what we're going to do is we're going to come across from this side and cut the line there. Alright, so I have the tuners now, and I almost went too much on the neck. And that was on accident. I accidentally cut on the wrong side of the line. I should have cut on the upper end, so that way my measurement would have stayed the same and I would have just cut away more on the top. But if we look at these, I screwed on the nut and they should fit, so I guess we'll find out. If it doesn't fit, what I'll do is I'll probably get a scrap wood or something and I'll just glue it on top. Alright, so we got the holes for the tuners drilled out. And now the next step is going to be shaping the back of the neck. Now that's going to take a long time, so I probably won't film it. It'll probably take like 2 hours or so. Alright, so it's now the time to put in the sound holes. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some 1/2-inch grommets, because I have some gold ones. You don't have to use grommets if you don't want to, but I like the way they look. So in my various cigar box making, I think 4 1/2-inch grommets is too many and 2 isn't enough, so I think I'm going to put in 3, kind of like this, and we'll see how it sounds. When you're peeling off the tape, try and go against the grain if you can, because if you go with the grain of the wood, if there's a splinter, it'll peel up with the tape, but if you go against the grain, it will probably stay where you want it to. This is why you drill from the top, because if you drill from the bottom, then all of these would be on the top, and that would not look very good. And as you can see, these have a little bit of a taper on them, so they get bigger as they go down. So we'll need to make the hole that way as well. So the top will have to be flared out or filed away quite a bit in order for it to fit. So I have these measured out. I'm going to make 4, 1 for each corner, and they're going to go upright like this, so I have a spot to attach the screws. So we'll get our wood glue. And we want these to be flush with this lower edge, so that way the lid will still close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this scrap piece of fretboard, and this ridge looks to be about 1/4 of an inch, so I'll just cut a little spacer, and then I'll cut one for the back too, and then we'll glue those in. These don't have to be precise either, they can just be eyeballed. That's what I like about cigar box guitars. There's a lot of precise measuring, but most of the time you just have to precisely eyeball everything, so it doesn't require very much math or anything like that. Alright, so it's the next day, and everything's dry in the box right now, so pretty much finished with that. I actually don't think we have to do anything else to it, so that's kind of nice. So we're pretty much in the home stretch now. While you weren't looking, I got the neck done pretty much. I shaped the back so it's at a little bit of an angle, and I did some wood burning for the fret markers. Since this is fretless, we don't need frets, but we do need the markers, that way I'll know where I want to, where I need to put my slide in order to make the notes. Now I didn't really film it, actually I didn't film it at all. So basically what I do is I put on a coat, and then I go over it with steel wool, and then that flattens it out. So you just go over it just like this, make it all nice and smooth, and you can feel the difference, like it's rough over here, and it's really smooth over here now. But do keep in mind that when you're doing this, you are taking off some of the finish, so if the more you do it, the more finish you'll be taking off. So I'm going to finish this up, and I think the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some eyelets on the headstock, and then get our string, or probably install the tuner. So we'll work on the headstock next. Alright, so we just pretty much got done with the neck. It's all nice and smooth now. I'm very happy with how it came out. I was going to put solder burns like this all the way down, but they didn't really come out very well, so I just did a little bit for each fret, and I think that looks pretty cool. So that's probably what I'll do in the future if I make another fretless cigar box guitar. But now we're going to look at the headstock, and for that we have a decision to make. So there's a couple ways to hold down the strings. As you can see on this guitar, this one has eyelets, and the strings go directly through the eyelets. That's what holds them down and keeps their spacing. On another cigar box guitar I made, this one has a angled headstock, and so it already does the string angle automatically, but it has more of a nut type thing made out of wood for the to keep the string spacing. I think what we're going to do for this one is we're kind of going to do what a bass guitar has, and we're going to take this little rod, which is left over from the rivets that I used for the tailpiece, and we're going to put it in like that at a certain spacing, and then that's going to go on kind of like this, and then that should keep our string, it should hold down our strings and keep our string spacing. Then we'll take a pencil and we'll poke through our tuning peg hole, so that way we know where it is. And then we'll think about the string spacing. So with the string spacing, your strings are spaced at, from center, 1/2 inch. That's what I set them at least. You could do more, you could do less, it really doesn't matter. It's a little bit wider than like a 6-string guitar, but I like it. So we'll write a mark here for our center, 1/2 inch away from one string, 1/2 inch away for the other. That looks pretty good. Oh, they're kind of close to the tuners. Maybe there was some poor planning. Okay, they should be fine. I guess speaking of tuners, that's what we'll put in next. We'll put in the tuners and then we'll drill the holes in the back, and then I think we'll be done with this cigar box guitar. Well, that's about it for this video. I think we got quite a bit done today, so I'm pretty happy about that. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I want to thank you for hanging out at the workbench with me. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, have a good day. Bye.